Welcome everyone to this video where we are going to be talking about the sector which performed really well, and that is the pharma sector. Well, we have been speaking about pharma and the way the pharma sector has been behaving. Well, it has not shown much of momentum, but over the last last 1 to 2 months, we have seen that the pharma sector started picking up some positive vibes, and the kind of movement which we have seen over the last few days have been really very good. And today, especially when Nifty seemed to be giving up, pharma saw a fresh new revival. Right now, let's go and take a look at how the pharma sector behaved and what was the overall impact. So when I take a look at the pharma sector, right, when I take a look at the pharma sector and the way it behaved, see here that the pharma sector had more than 40% of the stocks performing from the F&O basket. So I thought, why don't I take a look at the pharma space and just find out how can we action them. All right, so that was my main agenda here. You can see here that Lupin, Oro, all these stocks which were never in the fray, they have also started moving well. So how can we action these pharma stocks? From these names, some of the names have moved really well, and I thought, why don't I take a look at it, and I decided, let me just go and take a look at the charts and find out how can we action them better. So let's go right in and find out how can we do this. But before I get there, if you're watching this video for the first time and if you're not really seeing how we do analysis with NeoTrader and the charts, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button, join our community, and find out how can you do structured analysis so that you get very good perspective. So let me just share with you some stocks which I have shortlisted from this. Okay, I have shortlisted certain stocks based on their overall momentum and the overall price action. So how did I do that? Let me just show you. The first stock I'm going to take is Glen Pharma. The first stock is Glen Pharma because Glen Pharma I had already recommended it earlier as a stock of the week, and the stock has continued to move quite well. It spent some time in consolidation, but today, considering the entire pharma basket was moving, the Glenmark stock saw a very good momentum. As you can see here, with NeoTrader, I am able to see how the intraday, multi-day and the positional is behaving. And you can see that in all the frames, it is showing as a very strong buy candidate. So that's what prompted me to select this stock. And if you also take a look at the setup, right, you can see here that there has been a very strong consolidation here, and the move which you have seen in April has been quite phenomenal. Right, I mentioned the levels of 440 as a dip to buy into, but then it seems that the dip is not coming through. So now I thought I should see how can we action this further. So that's why I have chosen this stock, because you can see here a very nice strong long body bull candle, and you can see here it spent some time above 70, and once again fresh momentum is coming into the stock. So it should definitely be on your radar. How to action this? We'll again go back to Stock Analyzer and let us take a look at the levels. So you can see here intraday, multi-day and the positional are all showing long possibility. So now again we will go and check out what are the levels which we can action. So as you can see here at the current juncture, right, it has already reached a very good confluence zone. It has crossed the confluence zone, and the confluence zone which I am referring to is the multi-day and the positional R3. You can see here multi-day and the positional R3 have been exceeded. So now this has opened up a lot of possibility. So now if you go down to the intraday as well, right, if you want to just step down to the intraday, you have got 507 here. Now if this were to exceed, right, if this were to exceed, then your target number 2 immediate, it's a very short one, so it can be targeted from an intraday perspective, which goes up to 512. So 512 to 513 will be your immediate target, but beyond that, right, beyond that, it opens up a whole new door. Why? Because the intraday target becomes much more extended. It goes up to 530, and you have got 535 as your positional. So whatever targets we had set for the month, right, it's actually challenging that. So Glen Pharma is moving in a phenomenal pace. The move has just started today, and you can see here that these are the prospects which I am witnessing in Glenmark Pharma. And if the pharma momentum continues, then this could be a very strong mover considering all the parameters which I have put across. So now let's move on to the next stock. All right, let's move on to the next stock and find out from the pharma pack which is the stock we should consider. And that stock which we are going to consider is Oro Pharma. And as you can see, the stock has had a phenomenal run, and the run has managed to exceed the November highs. The November highs has been exceeded, and again you can see here that the continuous follow through which you are seeing right now with the long body bull candle is clearly an evidence of high participation. You can see here there's steady high participation, and even when the momentum indicator is well above 75-80, right, you can see here that continuous participation is happening. So what does it indicate? Right, with the momentum indicator continuously showing more and more strength, one should look at every dip in this candidate to buy into. So why have I chosen this? Because the momentum is very strong, it is continuing to defy gravity, and well, the pharma sector, if it's waking up, then everyone will look to participate in this at every dip. So how can we find out that dip? For that, again, we will go into stock analyzer. So let's go and check out stock analyzer, and you can see here stock analyzer, it is showing a buy across all the time frame. Buy across all the time frame, which definitely means that we should continue to look at a bullish possibility. You can see here that the multi-day scores are good, the positional is just getting better. So yes, the stocks had witnessed some correction, but now they are showing up some very steady upward momentum. You can see here across all the indications, you are having long signals here, and that's why I thought, why don't I look at the levels and find out what kind of clusters we can have. Now we are speaking about dip buying possibility, right? Why are we speaking about dip buying possibility? Because the stock has gone up sufficiently, and we feel that if there is a dip, then I will be a buyer. So I am connecting with all the people who want to buy on dips. So now when I am going to buy on dips, I would look for some pullback level to buy into. So when I want to look for some pullback level to buy into, the first thing I would see is where is my support zone. So for example, I am having a cluster levels here, which is tying up with this set of cluster levels. With Oro Pharma at 577, okay, with Oro Pharma at 577, you can see that there is a immediate cluster for intraday purpose at 580. So at 580, okay, at 580, it is in close tie-up with 580 to 583. So those who are holding long in Oro Pharma, right, as you are watching this video, as you are holding long in Oro Pharma, what you should do is around 583, right, 583, 584 is again a very good cluster. I would actually ignore this, and I would see this is a very good cluster zone. So 584 is a very good cluster zone, as you can see here. So room to the top, this would be your first supply point. Okay, first supply point will be here, because once it moves beyond this, you can see it moves beyond this, then it has got more room to the upside, which is around 593 and 599. So this should be a target 1 and target 2 if the momentum continues. Now just imagine that it does not, all right? So then you can imagine a fall towards this would be your good demand zone. So demand zone around 558 is emerging as a very good point of support. Now if it were to go below this, the next cluster zone which you are getting is somewhere in the region of around 540. So 540 is a drop which you can expect. So at 540, okay, what is happening is you are having, this is one cluster zone. So this is tying up with your good pullback zone of multi-day, and this 541 is also a good pullback zone with your positional. So this is your demand zone number 1, which is around 558, then demand zone number 2 is around 540. So these are two levels which you can track in Oro Pharma. All right. So now let's move on to stock number 3, right? Stock number 3 is Ajanta Pharma. Stock number 3 is Ajanta Pharma. Ajanta Pharma saw a fresh new move. Let's see what Ajanta Pharma has in store for us. And as you can see here, I have pulled up the daily chart of Ajanta Pharma. And as you can observe that unlike the other two stocks which have been showing excellent momentum, this stock is just waking up. So I thought, why don't I select one stock in that fashion as well? So as you can see here, there is a nice rounding formation which is happening. There is a nice consolidation which is happening. And right now what has happened is that on this particular day, you can see here that the entire move has been a nice long body bullish candle, and this long body bullish candle, what it has done is it has managed to come near this particular gap area. As all of you can see, this is the November zone, and as you can see here, this is the gap area which I am referring to. You can see here that this is the gap area, and the prices have traded into this gap area. Now if this gap area were to be exceeded, you can see here shadows at higher levels, which indicates that at that gap area it acted as a resistance. So what levels am I talking about? I am talking about the levels of around 1350. So 1350 is an important zone to track. 1350 is an important zone to track, and just at 1350 you will be able to see a very good action point emerging in Ajanta Pharma. So always keep a track of this. This is more of a multi-day play, and if this momentum is beginning to show up, then you would see a very good one. Now I moved into stock analyzer to check out what is Ajanta Pharma story all about. So you can see here that the multi-day and the positional are slipping into a buy mode, which is definitely a good cause for us, and intraday will soon slip into as well. Now when I take a look at the scores, right, you can see here that the multi-day and the positional have started acting. So you can definitely keep it on your agenda, and you can see here that the long signals have started emerging in multi-day and positional as well. So now if I were to action the levels, right, if I were to action these levels, how can I take a note of it? Now if you see here that immediate attention for us, okay, immediate attention for us, considering Ajanta Pharma is at 1300, what you need to know is the immediate action point which you got to follow is, this is going to be your important zone, because right now it's at 1300, and any pullback into this area would be a good level to buy into. And at 1289, okay, at 1289 to 1283, there is a 1280 to 1 is a good pullback zone for an intraday player. Now if you were to look at this from a deeper perspective, you have got much lower levels to watch out for. And what are those levels? So let me tell you that at 1250 is a move down, and at 1191, okay, at 1191 it will come close to your positional pivot. You can see here, this is your positional pivot. Why I'm saying this? I'm saying this as this is a multi-day trade. So I have taken the positional pivot this time at 1195, and this will act as a very good cluster zone. So 1190 drop from 1250. So if you want to action Ajanta Pharma, you got to wait for this pullback to buy into. So this is your support zone. Now if there is a correction from here, then the next support zone or demand zone is emerging at 1190. So now 1190 is 100 points away from the current high. But then if you take a look at the momentum, you will realize that the momentum has begun to set in. So any pullback in this counter should be tracked, and at higher levels it opens up a lot of doors. So let me just show you what are the possibilities. So this, you got a pullback zone to buy into. Now if you see here at higher levels, what are the possibilities? At higher levels we are seeing that there is a close tie-up in Ajanta Pharma. We said from an intraday this is your trigger point. Now at higher levels you have got these levels to track, right? So once these levels are exceeded, which is on the region of around 1305 to 1320, so those are important levels to watch out for. So any dip, buy, and then these levels are exceeded, then you have got a very high target zone of around 1380 to 1380. If you see here, is again a very good cluster zone which will tie up with your positional one. So 1380 can be your expected target in Ajanta Pharma. So currently it is at 1298. So buy on dips towards 1250, or if it crosses 1320, then you have got a 60-point target from here. So this is a multi-day play in Ajanta Pharma, which I'll be tracking, and I'll be updating you guys as well. All right. So with that, I come to an end of this video. These are 3 interesting pharma setups which I liked. And if you like the way we have analyzed, do give a like to this video, and also share this in your social circle so that they know exactly how to action the sudden momentum in pharma, and they can also participate in a structured way. Thank you so much for watching. This is Ajanta Pharma signing off. Have a good day and see you in the next video.